teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners, those who are listening, watching from the field of social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Dear friends, really you are praiseworthy, admirable and appreciable. Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. It is nice time, nice place, nice section. Nice to see all of you, nice to talk you. Today's topic that we will discuss very significant need for research, literary research, introducing thesis and assignment writing. And increasing tendency in formal education to place more emphasis on the submission of written work as course requirements and for purposes of student assessment. This tendency is particularly true at the level where there has been growing dissatisfaction with reliance upon the annual examinations as the sole means of evaluating student performance. All our researchers, those who are studying internationally in Cambridge, Oxford, Harvard, Pennsylvania, Edinburgh, they are busy in doing research. Research helps us in understanding a lot of things, a lot of past things, how their nation, society, family, personally, publicly, professionally, it is indicated and it is helped by research. Research and invent. There are two words. Sometimes our scholars are confused while using these two words. Invent is really a great effort to do something innovative and inventive in any field, but the research make us able to understand the history. As Swami Vivekananda addressed to the worldly people, return to the Vedas. These words re, un, im, in are very important for rejuvenating and for recreation, regeneration, reoperation of any field. So re has its great importance. Re is the examination of our mind. Re is to be evaluated, examined by the experts. Time to time, place to place, action to action. These things are very useful. What Anderson has stated about the shifting priorities of the universities in the West is applicable to the universities in India also. During the last 50 years, academicians of various Indian universities have shown a growing tendency to test the scholarship of their students by giving regular assignments rather than an end of the year do or die examination. Such regular assignments very often bring out the originality of the student and enable him or her to acquire the operational skills needed for research. However, many students consider the task of completing the dissertation or assignment in arduous one. At any special occasion or in any natural calamity, when our youngsters, NDRF and defense persons go to help them, they take a lot of lessons and examples that helps our futuristic generation in knowing the do's and don'ts, merits and demerits, advantage and disadvantage. Easily they can count if personally they have helped, they have efforted well in any natural calamity. So such changes that happens in the nature also teaches us a lot of lessons. We should never forget our every moment of life, wherever we spend, that can become useful. How we can make it more useful? It depends upon time, place and action. These three factors help in converting the sources into resources, search into research, need for research. During our studies in school, our teachers had asked us to write essays and assignments based on the course materials. We completed such assignment by referring to the text prescribed for study. Sometimes we wrote essays based on our personal experiences. For writing personal essays, we seldom refer to the course materials. Dear friends, as we have written different type of essays, short stories, poems, applications, letters, these are also the part of creativity. These are also the part of research. It's a minor research from our scholars in our schools and colleges. At the major level, they extend the same methodology that helps them in understanding deeply and intensively from the research point of view, from the investigation point of view. This may be so at the school level, but academic life at the university level is never so easy. At the university level, we select nation or society, internationally, nationally. Some subjects and assignments at the college level forced to go beyond the confines of our course materials. At the same time, we cannot complete them by relying on our personal experiences. Our personal experiences and practicals can be explained easily, that are really original, that are also the part of search, not of research. It happens usually with us, and a scholar or learner of English must be innovative and inventive with having imaginative skills. These imaginative skills make our scholars makes our scholars creative and original in expressing their views. By expressing their personal views, personal life, they can show they can claim of their proficiency and sufficiency in any particular topic or title. We undertake research when we wish to explore an idea, probe an issue, solve a problem, or make an argument that compels us to turn to outside help. Research increases the depth of our knowledge about a particular topic. Sometimes research may confirm our idea, but it may alter them at other times. In both ways, it is a profitable venture. In the process of research, we come into contact with new ideas that may change our perceptions. Researchers should never forget that the main aim of research is not to summarize the works of others, but to assimilate and to build on it and to arrive at their own conclusions. Research is also an intellectual adventure. Gibaldi puts it thus: actually, a research paper is an adventure, an intellectual adventure, rather like solving a mystery. It is a form of exploration that leads to discoveries that are new, at least to you, if not to others. However, in our excitement to do research, we must never overlook the mechanics of writing. So, dear friends, you can take the modern example from our modern economy. Our India is getting advancement in becoming explorer, exposer and exporter in the different fields. Our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, who is efforting well for providing such a structure of our nation that will help us in maintaining its spiritual values. Research, to be effective, must always be conducted within the parameters of accepted methods. If not, it becomes useless. All our findings must be sustainable in the light of the available empirical data. Pursuing and developing of ideas remain the major excitements of research and scholarship. Research paper is also a form of written communication. Hence, it should present ideas and thoughts clearly and effectively. As a written form of communication, it must follow the principles of good communication: precision, conciseness, clarity, and consistency of point of view. Literary research. Research done on or about works of literature, fiction, drama, poetry, non-fiction, prose and literary criticism is generally called literary research. Sometimes research on painting or on films or on music also may come under the purview of literary research. Methods of inquiry into literature. What are the methods that helps in inquiring into literature? First step is to read the work closely. Critical reading is the first step in literary research. Reasoning must be inferential. Evaluative thinking. Synthesize, not summarize. So these are the methods for inquiring into literature. One is closely. Two is critical reading is the first step in the literary research. Three is reasoning must be inferential. Four is evaluative thinking. And five is synthesize, not summarize. Documentation of literary research. Documentation style recommended by the Modern Language Association. MLA style is preferred in literary research. Analysis of literary work is a very important part of research. The major aspects of the literary work have to be analyzed. Analyze these following aspects. One is plot, the events and their sequence. One first important thing that must be done, that is plot. Plot simply means planning the events and their sequence. Next, number two is theme, the central idea of the work. What ideology we have prepared behind writing any thesis, behind writing any dissertation. Three is structure, the organization of the book and the relation of one part to another. That is the structure. How to organize and how one part is connected with other, that is predetermined through structure. Four is characterization, the nature and character of the people in the plot. So these are significant steps that must be pre-planned and outlined. After that, setting, time and background of the action. And last is point of view, the position from which the material is presented. So these same steps are adopted while writing any composition or any dissertation or thesis. The scholar should also look at the style, image, tone, figure of speech, symbolism, rhythm and rhymes of the work. Many scholars are not sure of the appropriate tense to be used while discussing works of literature. The general advice is to use the present tense while discussing a literary work or any of its elements, and to use the past tense for what the author had done or achieved in particular work. For example, Othello starts suspecting Desdemona after Iago tempts him. Next example, Shakespeare lived during the Elizabethan period. He had little formal education. Also use past tense to discuss historical events and biographical information. Last but not the least, in conclusion of it we can say there is an increasing tendency in formal education to place more emphasis on the submission of written work as part of normal course requirements and for purposes of student assessment. Such assignments bring out the original thinking of the scholar and enable him or her to acquire the operational skills needed for research. Research increases the depth of our knowledge about a particular subject. The main aim of research is not to summarize the works of others, but to assimilate and to build on it, and to arrive at our own conclusions. Research, to be effective, must always be conducted within the parameters of accepted methods. If not, it becomes useless. All our findings must be sustainable. Research done on or about works of literature, fiction, drama, poetry, non-fiction prose, and literary criticism is generally called literary research. Different methods of research into literature and the methodology to be followed are also discussed in the lesson. Next is selecting a topic and preparing a thesis statement. After selecting a topic, how to select a topic in its introduction. According to experienced researchers, selecting a topic is the most difficult thing in research. Selection of a suitable topic demands a thorough knowledge of the subject, which many scholars gain only through experience. The more one knows about a particular field of study, the easier it becomes to recognize the problems in that field. Anderson points out. In fact, the first question examiners usually consider while making a thesis is, does it make a contribution to knowledge in this field? Phrased another way, this question becomes, was there a problem to be investigated, and did the thesis attempt to solve this problem? Sources for problems for investigation. One of the easiest means to find out problems for research is to refer the matter to those who are familiar with the cutting edge of research. The research fellows and the professors guiding them are rich sources of research problems. Anderson says that research problems are like Gorgon. Gorgon's head. The more the problem we investigate, the more they emerge. A study of scholarly journals and magazines will enable us to update our ideas about the problems that are being pursued at the scholar level in various forms of research. Publications such as dissertation abstracts provide us with summaries of doctoral dissertation submitted at leading universities. The summaries give us indications about topics useful for future research. Criteria for selecting a topic. The scholar has to ask a number of questions about the topic he has provisionally selected for research. Is there proper supervision available? The question may appear absurd when we do research in any institution where where the latest facilities are available. Nevertheless, it is worth asking, as the number of efficient supervisors is steadily decreasing because of the increasing tendencies to specialize in specific areas. Next is number 2, does the topic really interest you? If the scholar is not interested in the topic selected, he or she may not, most probably, complete it. If the topic is not interesting to the researcher, research becomes a painful task. Can the topic be completed in time? The topic selected by the scholar must be feasible. The scholar should be aware of the limitations of time when he or she undertakes the task of studying a particular subject. Next step number 4 is the necessary equipment available? Sometimes expensive equipments may not be necessary for research. Before undertaking such projects, it is advisable to verify the availability of equipments. Next 5 are subjects available? Cooperation of subject is necessary for testing. Where such subjects are not available, research will not progress. Hence, it is better for the scholar to verify the availability of subjects. Next number 6 are library facilities sufficient? Library facilities are essential for literary research, and a topic becomes unsuitable if library sources are insufficient. Some writers, for instance, may make it a condition that a particular book they have written must not be published during their lifetime. No researcher can successfully undertake a study of the works of such writers. Is the problem a significant one? Is the topic worth the time and money spent? This question can be answered only by the researcher. Anyway, the researcher must try to find out a satisfactory answer to the question before venturing into research. Review of literature. After selecting a particular topic for study, the scholar should go through the existing material in that field. Completely new and original problems are rare, and scholars must be careful not to replicate a work already done. Once we decide the topic, it is essential to review the work already done in that field. This is called review of literature, and this should find a place in the dissertation as a part of the introductory chapter. A good review explicates a good review explicates the relation between the present study and the existing studies. Next is preparing a thesis statement. When the scholar has finished the collection, evaluation, and analysis of materials, he or she has to think about the thesis statement. Framing a thesis statement will give coherence and unity to the ideas in the mind of the scholar. It will formulate both the topic and the point of view of the scholar, and will give a concrete shape to the abstract ideas in his or her mind. A good thesis statement is an answer to the central problem raised in the thesis and shows the scholar where exactly the research is proceeding. Writing the thesis statement is not an easy task. Scholars often write many thesis statements and select one. At this stage, it is better to consult the supervisor for guidance, because writing the statement may even drastically alter the focus of the thesis. Joseph Givaldi points out the importance of two factors in writing of a thesis statement. These are the scholar's purpose and audience. According to purpose, what is the purpose of the study? Is it an explanation of a problem or an argument about a certain point of view? Does the researcher want to persuade the readers to do or believe something? Next is audience. What is the nature of the audience the scholar is addressing? Are they specialists in area? Are they in agreement with the scholar, or are they likely to disagree. What is their level of interest in the subject? Answer to the above questions will decide to a large measure the point of view adopted by the scholar. Moreover, the answer will have a direct impact on the thesis statement and also on the final outline of the thesis itself. Requirement of assistance of the supervisor. Many supervisors want the scholar to submit the thesis statement for approval an year before the thesis is due. If the scholar experiences any difficulty in writing the statement, he can seek the help of the supervisor. The supervisor can assist the scholar to frame a suitable thesis statement. Basic requirements for a thesis statement. It states the topic of the thesis. It conveys the purpose of the thesis. It indicates the focus. It uses a specific language. Sample thesis statement. Imagine that the thesis is on the discomforts of life in the city. The scholar can formulate a thesis statement like rising crime rates, increasingly overcrowded conditions, and rising taxes make living comfortably in a modern city difficult. Another sample given by Joseph Givaldi. Students who wish to write successful research papers must know as much as possible about the modern academic library, its central information system, reference works, online catalog of holdings, full text databases, and other resources and services, and must be knowledgeable about finding useful internet sources. In conclusion of it, we can say, according to experienced researchers, selecting the topic is the most difficult thing in research. One of the easiest means to find out problems for research is to refer the matter to those who are familiar with the cutting edge of research. A study of current scholarly journals and magazines will enable us to update our ideas about the problems that are being pursued at the scholar's level in various forms of research. Writing a thesis statement is another area where the scholar must show maximum care. A good thesis statement shows the purpose of the thesis and indicates its focus. The lesson also provides some sample thesis statements. Dear friends, next step that we must keep in our mind related to collection, sources of information, primary sources and secondary sources, review of earlier researches, preparation of a working bibliography, note taking. In sources of information, research is a methodical investigation into a subject in order to discover facts, to establish or revise a theory, or to develop a plan of action based on facts discovered. The Oxford Dictionary defines research as a systematic investigation and study of materials, sources, etc., in order to establish facts and reach conclusions. The researcher needs many sources of information to discover facts and establish theories. Hence, finding out the source of information is a priority area in any research program. Sources of information for a research scholar are many, and some of the sources are more useful than others. Therefore, before beginning the research, we must become familiar with different sources of information and assess the utility of each from the point of view of the topic selected by us. For example, when we study the works of a contemporary American novelist. Internet sources are indispensable because they provide us with the latest information about that writer. On the other hand, such sources may not be of much use when we study the works of an Indian novelist who lived during the 1930s or 40s. What is a source? A source may be a book, an article, a worldwide web page, a CD-ROM, a videotape, a performance, or any other form of communication of information. People are also sources of information. We can broadly categorize the sources into three types: print sources, non-print materials, and microform sources. What are print sources? Dictionaries and other specialized reference books. They define words and terms. There are general dictionaries like the Oxford Dictionary and Webster, Third International Dictionary of the English Language. In addition to these, there are specialized dictionaries in many academic disciplines that define words and phrases related to a particular area in literature. There are special reference books such as Chesel's Encyclopedia of World Literature, Dictionary of Literary Biography, a Dictionary of Literary Terms, MLA International Biography of Books and Articles on the Modern Languages and Literature, Oxford Companion to American Literature, Oxford Companion to English Literature. If we want to find out definitions to terms in philosophy and religion, we can refer to such books as Encyclopedia of Philosophy and Encyclopedia of Religion. For social sciences, there are specialized reference books such as Dictionary of Anthropology, Dictionary of Education, Encyclopedia of Psychology, and International Encyclopedia of the Social Sciences. For film, television, and theatre, there are many specialized reference books. Some of them are given here: International Encyclopedia of Film, International Television Almanac, Oxford Companion to the Theatre, and 100 Greatest Films. In the Almanac, yearbooks and fact books. These are huge complications of facts in many subject areas. Almanacs such as the Word Almanac, the New York Times Almanac, and the Book of Facts present capsule summaries of the events and data about government, politics, economics, science and technology, and many other categories. Atlases and gazettes. Atlases contain maps of continents, seas, and skies. They also give us whatever is known about other planets. Cosmopolitan World Atlas, the Times Atlas of World History, and the National Atlas of the United States of America are good examples. Gazetteers provide wide-ranging geographical information on topography, climates, population, migrations, natural sources, and so on. Webster's New Geographical Dictionary is popular gazetteer. Number 4, next is biographical reference works. These books provide brief information about famous people, their achievements, and important events in their lives. Who is Who series, the Dictionary of American Biography, Webster's Biographical Dictionary are some important books that give biographical information. Next is non-print materials. Electronic sources may be online or they can be available as CD-ROM. One is CD-ROM. CD-ROM is cheaper and easier to use. However, They may carry only less information compared to online sources. These may not be frequent updating also in the case of CD-ROMs. Keywords are necessary to search electronic sources because some of them may contain as many as 100 million references. It is therefore necessary that we must select the keywords accurately. Otherwise, precious time will be lost in going through unwanted materials. A reference librarian will be of help in choosing the databases best suitable for the research. Next is online sources. Online means that we are connected to the internet. The internet is a network of computers at colleges, universities, research centers, libraries, museums, archives, government agencies, news services, businesses, and organizations around the world. The internet offers immediate access to vast amounts of information. The World Wide Web (WWW) is the most convenient method to enter the internet. It provides us with information from around the world as it is linked to thousands of computers. The web is open to all. This is good news, but in a sense, it is bad news too. It is good news for scholars as they can process through information that was hitherto available only to specialists. The web has also become a form for the undeprivileged selection of the problem of people of disseminate their ideas. The bad news is that there is no mechanism to keep there to keep away frauds and cheats from the net. Many websites are unreliable and many others are advertisements in disguise. The web has over 20 million sites at present and we have to be very careful as many of the sites may offer stolen materials as authentic information. Several books on methodology advise us, online researchers, beware. How to research the web? The easiest way to search the web is to seek the help of a search engine. The search engine follows an orderly process by supplying general information in the beginning and specialized information later on. When we finish one search engine, we can try another. The materials supplied by one search engine will be sometimes very different from the materials supplied by another. Some of the most popular search engines are, along with these, there are certain meta search engines which can run simultaneous searches on as many as 12 search engines and subject directories. Examples for meta search engines are given here. Searching the websites with the search engine needs a lot of patience. For a writer like V.S. Naipaul, the search engine may bring to our notice more than 25,000 websites. Going through all of these may consume a lot of time. In most of the websites, there will be only the mention of the name of dipole. Search engine work on the concept of the keyword and it will bring to our notice all the places where the keyword is mentioned. This is a problem with no solution and the maximum we can do is to try to be exact in giving the keyword. However, the use of Boolean expressions will help us to narrow down the search. Let us see how to use Boolean expressions in our search through the net. Search engines use Boolean experiences. Search engines use Boolean expressions like and, or, not, and near to narrow and refine the search. In the case of Naipaul, let us see how the search can be fine-tuned using Boolean expression. V.S. Naipaul and a house for Mr. Vishwas. This instruction given to the search engine will narrow the search because both keywords are to be found. The search engine will search out only materials where both keywords are present and sites related to the other work of Naipaul will not be displayed. Microform sources along with print sources and non-print sources. We must also be familiar with microform sources. These are kept in a special selection of the library. Microforms are printed material reduced in size by microphotography. Microfilms, microfiche, and microcards are some of the common microforms. Microforms are used to store materials as back copies of periodicals and books. Special instruments are needed to magnify the microfilms. Primary sources and secondary sources. What are the primary sources? Primary sources are first-hand evidence. These include first-hand accounts of experimentation and investigation, books, articles, monographs, doctoral theses, interviews, etc., written or given by the author we have selected for our study. Letters, diaries, eyewitness accounts, poems, novels, autobiographies, etc. by the author selected for our study. Example: suppose we have selected the early novels of Kamala Markandeya for our study. Then all the books, letters, diaries, poems, autobiographies, articles, monographs, doctoral theses written by Kamala Markandeya are primary sources. The interviews, etc. given by the author are also primary sources. Joseph Gibaldi points out in a lighter vein that even the laundry list of the author selected for the study is a primary source. When primary sources are cited separately in the works cited page, the scholar must keep the point in mind. Next is secondary sources. Summaries of information gathered from primary sources. Translation, summaries and reviews of research, abstracts, guidebooks and other publications. These report, comment on or analyze the works of others. These are at least once removed from the primary source. The value of a secondary source depends on several factors. Ask the following questions when you are quoting from a secondary source. One is how specific, accurate and authoritative the questions are. Two is has the expert whose opinion we are quoting got any special experience in the field. Third is the information well supported? Next is the tone balanced? Next is the language really objective? Next is the source well known? Last is the source current? Evaluating online sources. Today, in this modern time of technology, internetology and digitology, anyone can post anything in the internet. Actually, people who are not at all experts in the field post many things in the internet. Sometimes these sites give false information. One such site reported that the novelist R.K. Narayan has written more than 30 novels. We may evaluate sites to some extent. Internet addresses ending in .edu, .org, .gov. Are generally dependable. Sites using a country abbreviation such as .us, .uk are also dependable. They are usually non-profitable organizations, commercial organizations advertising to sell a product. Use .com address. We have to be careful when we quote from them. Authors who are experts in the field of study, whose names have already appeared in print sources. If their names appear in biographies, we can use them. Anonymous authors, chat rooms, Usenet, discussion groups, bulletin boards, etc. We do not know them or their motives. It is always better avoid them. Reliable print, reliable print sources online. Online version of the New York Times, the Times Magazine, etc. Last is excerpts and quotations from the New York Times or any other online publication that are not on the publisher's original site. Sources may be inaccurate or incomplete. Review of earlier researches. In its introduction, review of earlier researches continue throughout the period of study. It begins with the selecting or selection of a topic. Since the study aims at being a contribution to knowledge, we have to be careful that it has not been carried out previously. We must remember that entirely new areas of study are very rare. However, a previous study indicated. Once the topic is selected, we have to consult the available sources and search for the relevant materials. A thorough review of the earlier materials must be undertaken after that. What is the importance of related literature? Review of related literature comes from earlier researches on the same topic selected for the study. In the review, earlier writings on the topic are abstracted and significant writings in the area are reviewed. Thus, the review is helpful in providing the background information to the reader. Moreover, a good review will show how thoroughly the researcher has gone through the project. Next is emphasis on the central theme. We must take care to review the literature connected to the central theme of the study. In the course of the study, we may have gone through several books. Some of them may not be related to the central theme of the study. The review of literature should deal with only the materials relevant to the central theme of the study. Moreover, the review should not be too elaborate to become cumbersome. The review must not become a paraphrase of all the works related to the area. We must try to make a critical analysis of the works related to the central theme. A review must be pointer to the relative status of the study we have undertaken, the relation between the review and the research project. Generally, scholars fail to relate the review to the research project they have undertaken. The review must be closely integrated to the project. Actually, the project must evolve from the review. An ideal review highlights the originality as well as the limitations of the earlier studies. It must make the reader realize how the present study is an inevitable corollary of the studies in the field. Apart from continuing the tradition, the aim of a scholarly dissertation must also be to carry the area of knowledge forward. A sample review. Here is a sample review taken from the thesis of a scholar. The scholar has dealt with the earlier novels of Kamla Markandeya in his or her study, and here is the review. There was no paucity of secondary sources as far as the novels of Kamla Markandeya are concerned. They are Srinivasa Iyengar's pioneering work, Indian writing in English, though written nearly 50 years back, still retains its charm for a comprehensive analysis of the themes and trends in Indian writing. There are few equals to this work. Similarly, M.K. Naik's A History of Indian English Literature offers a good background study. What is given above is a sample review. We can certainly improve on it. From the above example, it is clear that the scholar has to proceed with the review in a methodological fashion by critically analyzing the major works one by one. Preparation of a working bibliography. A working bibliography is an essential part of the research process. It emerges as we search for sources. A working bibliography is the first list of useful sources we prepare. This list is a constantly changing one. As we get information about new sources, it can be added to the biography. Second is preliminary reading of the indexes and biographies and general and particular works on the author and subject will provide a tentative biography. Almost every book or article we read may contain a list of the books or articles the author had consulted, and these books and articles may be included in our working bibliography. Next three is we can add or drop sources as we try to tune the research question. A working bibliography is never complete. The final list of works cited at the end of the thesis evolves from the working bibliography. Next, number four is a working bibliography can be prepared on 3 by 5-inch note cards or on a computer. Next, 5 is we have to be careful to write only one source per card. In the computer, 2 we have to take care to separate one entry from the other. Next, number 6 is as researchers, we must take care to note down the details of a source immediately if we feel that it is useful in our study. Depending on the documentation style used in the study, all the relevant details must be noted. A little caution at the stage will save us from a number of problems at the finishing stage of the study. The following detail must be noted down without fail when we prepare a working bibliography: book by one author or by more than one author, name of the author or authors, write down the complete name or names, the complete titles of the book along with the subtitles of if any, the edition that is used along with the number of editions that have appeared earlier, the number of the volume and the total number of volumes if it is a multi-volume work. Next is the first city of publication. If there is more than one mentioned in the book, the names of the publisher, year of publication. For an article from a scholarly journal, we have to include the following details. One is the name of the author, title of the article, title of the journal, volume number, year of publication, the inclusive page numbers of the article. If the article begins on page 45 and ends in 67, we have to mention 45, 67 at the end of the entry. For an article from a newspaper or magazine, we have to note down these details: name of the author, title of the article, title of the periodical, date of publication, inclusive page numbers of the article. For online sources or internet sources, we have to note down the following information: the author's name if any is given, the title of the article, poem, short story, essay. Within quotation marks, underline the title of books. 3 is the underlined title of the scholarly projects. If the site has no title, describe it from example home page. The name of the editor, translator or compiler if any. The date of electronic publication or posting or the most recent update. The name of the sponsor if any. The date on which we accessed the material. So dear friends, we must keep in our mind such guidelines. Those who are preparing thesis or dissertation in doing research in any subject from any university, these are the basic fundamentals or knowledge, information, instruction towards completing their research work. Thank you.